Hello, the internet, and welcome to another Thursday Weekly. This week featuring an open world seed. I am Mr. Entity. I am joined here in the booth by the Schwantz27. How is it going?
Hey, it is Thursday, and that means it is game time here at Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. We should have an exciting race today. Our requirements, as the screen now shows up, just to get into the final dungeon, 6 characters, 7 espers. We're starting with 2 characters. And we do have the statue skip enabled for this particular set of options at 7 characters, 8 espers, and 2 dragons. The dragons are not mixed in with the regular bosses, so you can
They're
find them.
scaled.
Yeah, so you could fight them at both their vanilla locations and as if they were any other boss. So we'll see who goes to take those dragons a little earlier, just to gain some levels and perhaps a cool item. So this will be awesome to see.
Yeah, and some of your better treasure-based checks do have dragons involved, most notably Mount Zozo. So that's a reasonable possibility for an early dragon, because as I will regularly say, anytime you can kill a scaled dragon, or even a non-scaled dragon in 30 seconds to a minute, if you're pretty sure you can do that, it's almost always worth your time.
Yeah, definitely. So pouring over the rest of the options that we have for this particular seed, this is going to be a rewarding magic seed. Every single Esper has 3 and only 3 spells on them, so we're not going to get any useless ones. But we also won't get any ridiculously overpowered ones either. And we don't have any free progression with this particular set of options, which means even though it is an open world seed, some of the checks will not provide us with either a character or an Esper. They will only provide a top tier item, so I expect to see our runners go to those locations in the very early game. What about you, Mr. E?
No free progression was designed as a way to make open world quote-unquote harder or less linear or more difficult to route. But what it's done in practice has been mostly just give people good items and less progression. So, swings and roundabouts on that one, but yeah, we'll definitely be seeing some of those checks being taken quite early, probably. The Gao Manor one in particular is right on the way to like all of Sabin's checks, which tend to be a pretty solid early get for an open world seed. Or a seed where you have Sabin.
Yeah, for sure. So we probably won't see any auction house or Tizen thief. So most of the money this seed is going to be spent on in shops rather than in an auction house or on items. So we'll be on the lookout for that. And speaking of items, we are starting with 10 warp stones and 10 phoenix down. So pretty generous to start in our item department. And with an open world seed, the Curse Shield is probably where most people are going to go first. And
that should be the first stop, yeah.
Yeah, so the number of battles to uncurse that is between 1 and 15. So I think our runners are hoping more towards the 1 side and less towards the 15 side, right? So
15 still doable.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, with these particular requirements. And everybody can equip any relic, so it'll be interesting to see who finds the right relics, and it looks like we are off. So we are starting out with Strago and Edgar, and it looks like Strago is going to be dancing Grandpa, and Edgar is Jump.
So the perfect Dragoon, because to note, all the characters today have their original equipment sets, another flag we don't see super often, and those familiar with the vanilla game will know that Edgar, much like Mog, is basically built to be a Dragoon. They equip spears, they have fairly high strength, that's just kind of their job. Atma Weapon versus Atma Weapon, I don't know which one I would choose. That's a difficult choice.
Definitely a coin flip.
Effie there.
We do see Jolly Green Ray in the world of Balance Narsh. I wonder if he's going to go up to go finish the Lone Wolf check, or if he's just raiding the shed over here, as we see on Hefe's screen, the Cursed Shield is going to give us the maximum number of 15 battles. Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah, so the decision on that is just going to be whether or not they basically want to route in fights or want to route in fixed encounters. Unlikely, but sometimes you got to get level somewhere, and with open world, you can just do all the checks that have basically no bosses, no fights in them. So yeah, interesting to see. Red jacket there in Narsh. That's the only particularly great thing I've seen in terms of chest gets. Chests, by the way, today are 65%. Stout spear in the shop. I would maybe pick that up just since Edgar can already jump. I'd give him something to jump with.
Yeah, not necessarily not necessarily a high-end spear, but it's a spear nonetheless, and it'll help that the damage multiplier for spears when jumping is applied to it. So even a mid-tier spear can be a very decent weapon with somebody who does have jump. And we see looting the basement there of the Imperial base, Jex Varox grabs a Ragnarok out of one of the chests, and since Edgar is allowed to swing that sword, maybe we'll see a Ragnarok swing instead of a jump, but I'm guessing that'll probably go on another character once we find them.
You still jump with it. Still jump with it. 1.5 times is still 1.5 times. I mean,
and there's the possibility of flare procking at the very, very end of it. So if we find a dragon horn to go on with multiple. So yeah, definitely still a good item to find here. We did see in the dance menu that that'll help us out.
And another Ragnarok. Wow. 2 Ragnaroks by going to the sealed gate, which should, I think most people would say, be your second stop after getting the Cursed Shield in an open world seed.
Yeah, because even with the no free progression flag on, the sealed gate cave is not considered quote-unquote free. I think that has to do with just the length of time that you need to take here. And Jex Varox looks like he's going to hit a save point maybe and fight the pull down here. That's something that I like to do, and it looks like he's just walking right past it, so never mind about that.
Just wants a delicious treasure box. Looking for that remedy. Yeah, but he found the remedy, which isn't the remedy.
Pulling things out of the ground. Jex Varox the gardener here. As we see Zelfer heading into Gal Manor, as you mentioned before, getting some Marvel shoes. That's a relic that gives you shell plus haste plus a regen sort of thing. And there's one other status that I forget that you could probably let me know.
Shelf safe, regen, and haste.
Shelf safe. Yep, there it is. Okay. We did
basically all the good positive benefits that aren't like really weird.
Yep, a force armor way over in the out of the way chest from Hefe in the World of Ruin, South Figaro there. It's an item that will sell for a lot if you already have decent armor. Otherwise, it does have damage of most magical spells, so it's something decent to have. Magic hurts a lot more than physical attacks most of the time, and we see the Phoenix Esper coming out of the sealed gate cave over there on Jex Varox's screen.
And not something you see very often, but using a warp stone there does save you a few seconds. And since they started with 10, and the maximum you need to really make use of them is 5, just use them whenever you can. If you want to save 3 seconds getting out of Esper Mountain, or like 3 seconds getting out of the sealed gate, you got them.
Hey, this is a speed run after all, and we are saving all of the frames. So the only we do see fixed ice in Celeste's cell on Hefe's screen. With only original equipment, that means that only Setzer can equip that fixed ice. So we'll see if anybody finds a Setzer to take advantage of said fixed ice.
Atmo weapons for sale there. So basically, if you find the right characters, all of the physical damage you need is already available to Jex.
Definitely, and a pair of Marvel shoes will be good with the Atma weapon, because Atma weapon does more damage with when you're at max HP, and it does less and less damage over time as you get more and more hurt. So that's always a good relic to pair with an Atma weapon if you've got nothing better.
Yeah, the
Um,
two things you want to do with an Atma weapon are, I mean, obviously get your levels up because that's where most of the damage comes from, but then anything you can do to raise your max HP, like the Valiant Knife, but in reverse, just having more HP makes it less problematic to lose a bit of health because your proportions are skewed. But yeah, and any safe also that you can get on, which is not, a thing you usually see people go for. It's not super useful most of the time, but if you just got a relic that gives it to you, then why not?
we did see Life 3 on that Phoenix Magicite, who would have thought? So that'll be useful in the final battle if we don't find any other Magicites that will help us out with Tier 3 of the Kefka fight. Um, and most of our runners are just tracing back each other's footsteps. I did see the dance for Strago, if anybody's interested, wasn't really wasn't really all that powerful. I think I saw Surge, which is okay. Wombat is decent against one target, but not. You're really looking for landslide on the dance. We're
Ideally, but I would take Surge and Wombat as the two primaries. That accounts for
another Atma weapon. Oh my
more than
goodness.
that. Okay, yeah, ridiculous. All the physical damage in the world, all they need at this point is the right characters and a bit of armor.
Yeah, you could almost stop checking chests, as Franklin points out in the chat, because we have lots of really good things between all of the shops that we've seen so far. There's a pair of earrings for anyone that's going to be doing magic later on in the sea. We haven't seen any powerful magic yet. We've only got one Esper though so far. And we'll see where the rest of our runners go. Jolly Green Ray's in the Returner's hideout. Hefe's picking up a set of earrings on the way to the Sealed Gate Cave. There's an enhancer, which increases your magic damage down on Jex Farok's screen. And Zelfer is going to look on the throne.
Yeah, so basically fairly standard patterns here, if a bit out of kilter with each other. And basically all the physical stuff they need is on the books
Nice.
right now. So yeah, if they find a Setzer, that'd be really useful for the early game. I don't tend to like fixed dice later on, but some people really do. Genji gloves would be very useful with the weapons that are available. We've seen one hero ring, but Atlas armlets would be nice to find, or just more hero rings, but they tend to be expensive if you get them in a shop. So yeah, lots of stuff to go with here.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things with a natural jumper, you're going to want to look around in some relic shops for a dragon horn, and some of these free checks are in towns, right? Like Kolingen, unfortunately, doesn't have a relic shop. But some of these other ones, like Celeste's Cell, is in South Figaro, which has a relic shop. So I expect runners to be looking for that here in the early going to power themselves up, and we'll see which one of them decides to take a fight first and where they're going to take it.
Yeah, I almost universally advocate for taking a fight or two at the start of a seed, just because those few levels, especially if you're trying to do physical damage, are going to drastically increase your chances of killing a thing without particular difficulty.
There's Atma weapon number 700 from the Tizen Thief.
An economizer in that relic shop if people want to go that route. Although they've already found gold hairpins, which do most of the job of an economizer, if we're honest.
Jolly Green Ray taking a dip into Nikea. This is something you usually only see after Gao's Serpent Trench check. But if there's something good in here and nobody else checks this town, maybe it'll be beneficial for him. Zelfer looks like they're leaving to Zen. Jex Farok's in the Figaro Cave. Hefe gets his Phoenix Esper out of the Sealed Gate Cave. And it looks like Zelfer might be doing some grind fights here. He landed kind of in the middle of nowhere.
I think he's on the Veld, perhaps. Which would be a weird place to do a grind, but maybe he found, dried meat somewhere.
Oh, yes, Velt's perfect. Hefe finding Osteosaur in the guard spot. One Phoenix down will take it out because it's an undead boss, or undead monster rather. And that's an easy way to get some levels and also get thrown out of the Imperial Camp. It's kind of like a 2-for-1. It's like a warp stone And since he knows that these encounters are going to be only undead enemies, he's just going to keep doing them. So
there are 2 different formations you can get here from the 2 different guards. I don't know if they're randomized within themselves in WC, because I usually only ever take like 1 fight there, but yeah, That's a thing. There's an imp for Zelfer who gives him a Ragnarok, so yet more still further Ragnaroks, just this one's a different kind.
Yeah.
Not gonna look at what it does, interestingly.
Yeah, I think he'll probably equip it when he's ready to actually take some fights, save some menuing time. That's
but he went
the
into
real final. Yeah, when you go to save, you go into your menu. The real final boss of the game is menu, and there's an Aura Lance in World of Balance Thamasa. So that's something that Edgar can equip. It's the strongest lance in the game, and since he already has jump, that is what I'd be saving my cash for right there.
Oh, Jolly Green Ray already putting on an Atma weapon. That's not a great decision. That is going to do basically no damage. As the Atma weapon, traditionally it's divided by 64, but in the new flag has a stronger Atma weapon, which divides... within the calculation for damage, there's a divide by character level, or divide character level by a number, which in this case is 32. So you need to get, level 20-something, 25 to 30, somewhere there before it becomes truly useful. Ray finds pugs and resets. Those would be decent to fight. They're actually not that difficult, but probably not with 2 characters and almost no offense. Because they are scaled down from level 99, so while they are ostensibly quite dangerous in the base game, in WC they tend not to be particularly worrisome. Unless you find them right at the start when you can't do anything.
Yeah, even though you haven't taken that many steps, Step 9 will still pretty much kill you at level 3.
Yeah, at level 3, any spell will kill you, basically.
We do see Hefe here going into the Imperial Camp. This is normally one of Saban's checks, and it's either 1 or 4 fixed encounters, depending upon the reward. If it is just an item, then it'll be 1 fixed encounter. If not, then you'll see the sprite being chased away, which is normally Cyan. Jolly Green Ray heading in for an early dragon, and it's Vanilla Ice Dragon. Do we have any fire rods? I don't think there are any rods.
There were no rods to be bought, but there was a thunder rod somewhere, and Hefe has found himself a katana soul, which with an Atma weapon is in the bank is definitely something you want to try to get rid of. Offering an Atma weapon's a very good pairing. Ray taking a reset there. Fortunately, did not save at the top. That was World of Ruin. Yeah, he could have saved at the top and tried to do Valley Garmanda and then into Umaro, but he elected to just GTFO and is going for South Figaro.
Yeah, I don't think Hefe is going to hop back into the Imperial Camp right away, because once you complete Imperial Camp, you can't actually go back in, and therefore you can't refight that monster in the box. And as you said, we really want that offering, giving the plethora of Atma weapons we found in the seed. So it looks like he's going to take another route. He's going to jump off of a waterfall, and hopefully that won't hurt him too much when he hits the ground. But we'll see what he finds at Barren Falls. Barren Falls will give you an automatic heal before the start of this fight. So even though he was at full health and full MP, if he wasn't, he wouldn't have to use a tent here. We do find an Ultros. Is this one number 3?
That looks like the one you fight in Esper Mountain to me.
Yep, so we don't have Sketch, which would immediately end this fight. But Ultros, any Ultros, is really not that big of a problem.
This one can be, although not usually so much unless you have Normalize and Distort on as a flag. As long as you got, some form of damage, ideally, I don't know if I found the Thunder Rod, but break that at it, probably do most of its health.
Yeah, because every time he moves onto a new tile, I believe he gets a new HP pool. Is that correct?
Thinking of the Opera Ultros, where once he splooshes down into the boards, because that's how boards work. They're made of liquid. Once he splooshes down into the boards and comes up in a different position, that's an entirely different monster, basically. But
Yep.
this one is just one and just scoots across the screen for no particular reason.
Gotcha. Yeah, memorize your ultras, kids. The Ragnarok, if you're swinging for it, should be in the front row, but no mind that. Hefe will take out his Ultros. I don't know if they found the cat hood or not, because 15 GP, I think, is the most you can get from that fight. So either he got lucky or he got cat hood, one of the two.
Ultros poor.
He's not someone that you want to rob for money of.
I mean, you'd think he'd have more money given that he claims he's Octopus royalty, but maybe, the Octopus Nation is just not doing well.
Well, face down animation means we're getting a character, and it's
a lock. Another character who can use a Ragnarok and an Atma weapon.
There you go. And the only character in this particular set of options that can use a Valiant Knife, if we ever find one. We know where an offering is, so again, a good character has natural magic and rage. Rage could become useful if we have, some rages on him naturally. Zelfer is heading into the collapsing house here, which is not going to be progression because of the no free progression flag. Jexarox is deciding to take on the Pugs. Pugs have a chance to drop Minervas. Not a very good chance, but there's still... So you're saying there's a chance.
It's a 1 in 8 chance, and you got 3 1 in 8 chances. Each one is its own thing, so it's not super likely, but you might get one. We have seen on stream once someone get all 3 of them and steal one.
Yeah, interestingly, I don't know if anybody is trying to break that cursed shield. Remember, we saw it was 15 battles, which is kind of a lot. But
Jax is sitting on a condemned here. Is that not from the shield?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. I did not see his screen.
Ooh, pincer behemoths. Not the best kind of behemoths. And no. Ray takes a reset from that Katana Soul. A lot of resets going on from Monster in the Boxes today.
Yeah, it's not fun when you find, the 2 hardest ones, essentially, really early. It looks like Jolly Green Ray is just going to go for Imperial Camp and forget the Monster in a Box, or he's going to take another stab at it. Not really quite sure here. But like I said, once you complete the Imperial Camp check, you cannot go back into Imperial Camp to get this box here. As we see everybody's favorite skin treatment, Aloe Vera, over on Zelfer's screen, in one of the Monster in the Boxes, which will get you Tiger Fangs, which is Sabin's best weapon, I believe. I don't know if anybody else can use it. So if we find Sabin, that's at least his best weapon there. And we see
Sabin's not an attacker.
Yep.
I mean, it's a reasonable stat stick, but
correct.
Honestly, Sabin's equipment pool is pretty much garbage.
Yeah, it will give plus stats on the top 4 if you open up the menu, I think, with just strength and speed and all that fun stuff. Magic, as we see, Tunnel Armor is guarding Doma Castle there on Hefe's screen. Zelfer comes out of the collapsing house as Jexarox goes into the Serpent Trench, and we still have Jolly Green Ray fighting through the Imperial Camp here with that Atma weapon that does even less damage than Strago swinging a rod. So, yeah, that's not something you want to equip right away.
Yeah, you'd be better off pretty much with a mithril knife at this point in the game, if you have a reasonably strong character, and also jumping, although it would be slightly slow. Atma weapon there for Zelfer, as if there weren't enough of those, and Alexander for Hefe.
This seed presented by Atma weapon. It grows as you grow. Anyway,
other weapons are available.
Yeah, apparently there are, but we haven't seen them yet. So that is unbelievable.
Yep. So Zelfer, I don't know if he just went to Ebbett's Rock or Zone Eater, but he went somewhere weird. Definitely Zone Eater if he's going to a 1 character, but this is a fairly odd move.
Well, I mean, I will say it's an annoying check. However, it also does not count as free progression, even though there are no fights in here. And maybe he thinks nobody else is going here, so maybe he might have an advantage over anybody that might be going there. I'm not quite sure.
It's a possibility, but who knows? Hefe getting out of a very tricky situation there with two of his characters confused by just getting good dance and finishing a fight, and he finds a Boris. So he's just taking some fights, which is, as I said earlier, just something I kind of generally advocate for. Take a couple. Although in this case I would also say maybe do a fixed encounter check, since they're available and count towards progression.
We did see Hefe get Alexander as the reward for Doma in the World of Balance.
A Crusader for Ray, which he's going to look at, and has Drain, Warp, and Osmos on it. Warp not as useful as it would normally be, but Osmos is always nice to find if you're planning on using magic. And Drain, kinda overlooked, but is a solid healing spell if you need to use it.
Well, and it also goes through Reflect, and it also is non-elemental damage. So, yeah, if you're really hurting for for something, as you see the Raiden Esper over on Zelfer's screen, and we have Kefka. Oh my goodness, we're already at the end of the game. I'm just kidding. It's Kefka and Narsh Kefka over on Hefe's screen.
Oh, Doom Durgan. That's a straight runaway as far as I'm concerned, but Jax is apparently going for it.
It does give a lot of XP.
It's a lot of experience if you can get to it. But Kieran there for Hefe. I'm going to look at it right away. Flare, I didn't see the other two, a couple gray magics.
Yeah, and Seraphim over for Jolly Green Ray, and the Phantom Train has Pearl. So we're just getting magics fast and furious here. Pulls an Excalibur out of the ground. Not a great weapon, but a good stat stick for somebody to use.
And now he's the king of the train.
There we go. Unfortunately, we actually don't know what's going to be at the end of the Phantom Train, right? We also don't have Blitz, the Suplex Train. Jex Ferox does get through that Doom Dragon fight here, and on the other side of the Serpent Trench is going to find Setzer laying down, which is great for people that have picked up the fixed dice because it is early. Setzer does have
and
Blitz as well.
Blitz. So that's an actually useful Setzer.
There we go. Meanwhile, Hefe finishes up Esper Mountain. I did not see what the reward for Esper Mountain was.
It was Kieran. It had flare on it.
Oh, that's right. Yep. You can actually warp out of here, but instead he's taking fights.
There's a couple chests you can get if you want to, but in open world I probably wouldn't bother. Well, yeah, he's going to learn Flare times 20. Maybe he just wants to get that learned before he does something slightly more difficult. I also saw Ice 2 on another Esper he has, so magic is starting to trickle in.
Yep, that was Alexander.
Now he uses the Warp Stone to get out of there. Zelfer, presumably in the World of Ruin, going to buy some Rust Rid and open up Mount Zozo, which is a fantastic check. Lots of chests. And with Scaled Dragons... just a really great spot to gain a bunch of levels and a nice piece of gear if you think you can do it. And with Scaled Dragons, it doesn't usually take that much, which is why I tend to keep them unscaled. But, sometimes it's fun to be strong.
Yeah, and we do know that the Kafka Tower statue skip requires 2 dragons, so it'll go a long way towards perhaps doing the Kafka Tower skip. Since the requirements are not that high to do so. We have a ball of fire, goodness gracious, on Jolly Green Ray's screen here. And one of his characters only has 19 HP. This could be a yikes fight.
Someone forgot to heal, and Jackson's found pugs because he fought them somewhere else. Now they're just on the Veld. I guess if you really wanted to, you could just grind out Minervas.
Yeah, no thanks. This would be a run from me. So
yeah.
Hefe is going to, it looked like he was going to pick up the Atma weapon from the Zen Thief, and it looks like Zelfer is going to take on this dragon here, throwing in a safety save, and the dragons are also randomized. Is the blue dragon here.
Yeah, Hefe has sold his Cursed Shield, so it seems like we've got 2 people going for it, one that's sold it, and I doubt we'll see Zelfer try for it, since he's pretty much on record as saying the most he'll ever go for is 10 or less.
The blue dragon is weak to thunder, to bolt, but we don't have that, so we're going to chuck some super balls at it, which deal a random amount of damage between 256 and 5128, maybe.
It's something
like that.
Exponent
multiples of
of
64.
2. Yeah, it's basically exponents of 2 up to whatever they decided the maximum
Ooh, that was a good roll. Edgar, 50
roll.
HP in a dream, taking it down there.
That shows you how beneficial super balls there are at the start of the game, if you're lucky. The further you get into the game, the luckier you have to be for them to be of any use whatsoever, but, they still have situational uses, like Magi Master or something else where you need to pierce defenses. And Zelf, I didn't see what he got from that boss. I looked away for like half a second, but he's about to get a Celeste, which is another character that can use a Ragnarok and an Atma weapon.
We'll be happy to see that. Did also get a cat hood as a reward. So he's going to be rolling in the money. Unfortunately...
Well, only Realm can use the cat hood.
That is correct. Unfortunately,
but
with original equipment on, that doesn't do it as much.
Celeste does have one of the best equipment pools in the game.
Yeah, for sure.
So
and with all of the Atma weapons we found, it'll be easy. Hefe finding encounters that you don't really want to see, which are side attacks. So you could in the Velt check, you need to have 3 party members, and you can only get a reward from a straight up fight. It can't be a pincer attack or a side attack or a back attack.
And there can't be more than 3 enemies on the screen. It's a really weird set of parameters.
Yeah. But Hefe does get the Ragnarok Esper. Jolly Green Ray takes out Tunnel Armor at Doma Castle to get Alexander.
And Jex also got the Ragnarok.
Well, Jex is going for a wild ride here up to the floating continent.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, you will get a lot of levels here, and it's a good spot to teach your characters magic. So maybe that's what he's thinking, is he likes the magic that he's got. Although he only has 2 Espers, so maybe this is just I don't think anybody else is going here play. And you are guaranteed either an Esper or character after this first check, and you are guaranteed a Esper or character on the very last check. So we know that there's definitely going to be progression here.
Unfortunately, not a super great set of enemies to be fighting. Not super bountiful in terms of experience or anything. Hefe has found some bombs, which in the very early days of this game were the first thing you did. You just go to Burning House and fight a bunch of bombs because it was the fastest way to level up. They are real easy to kill and, reasonably XP heavy.
Yeah, so Hefe ducked into that little hut there in Vector. You could fight a group of enemies, and then afterwards, the lady will heal you HP and MP. So if you don't want to waste a tent or some sleeping bags, that's one way to heal yourself after some fights. We'll see if they go through the MTech factory here. The first 2 checks are either Esper item, and it looks like he needs some more Espers. We'll see if he goes all the way through the minecart ride for the third. I doubt he will, but at least he'll get the first 2.
Yeah, the first 2 are pretty solid chances to get a couple Espers in quick succession. The third one is a fairly long series of fixed encounters and 2 bosses to get. I think it has to be a character or an Esper, but most people don't go for it most of the time. We got Vargas and the Ipoos hanging out in the sky, just kind of floating around. No Pummel to get rid of them, unfortunately. So we're just gonna have to fight it out.
Well, we do have Setzer, who does have Blitz, so we could actually one-shot this fight if he targets the right characters. You still get XP from the fight, but I don't believe it's nearly not as much XP as you would.
You don't get anything if you kill it with Pummel.
And it's dead anyway. Vargas and the Apple toilets, the Ipoos, are down. We'll see what Hefe finds at the beginning of Magitech 1. I believe Zelfer's in the Serpent Trench. maybe he is
Yep,
cracking that
he
cursed
is.
shield. I see some numbers above Mog. I don't know if that was a condemned or if he's actually going through. Not Mog. I'm sorry, Strago in a Moogle suit.
Got some thunder shields and flame shields from somewhere.
Yeah, those will
Found
teach
those in
you.
Mount Zozo.
Yeah, those will teach you tier 2 elemental spells, which aren't bad, and you have Ice 2 there, so he's going to know all 3 of the elemental spells. There'll only be tier 2 spells, but at least he'll be able to tackle things that he goes up against. Meanwhile, we have Guardian over on Jex Ferox's screen. Scratch that, we had Guardian over on Jex Ferox's screen.
And a Magi Master hanging out
Ooh.
where his little brother's supposed to be. Flare is available, starting with a Pearl, which is almost equally as slow, and I'm pretty sure less strong, so that's a slightly odd choice, but, you know, not everyone knows the relative damages of the rare spells.
So we did find Realm at the floating continent with Shock, and Shock is a ability from the vanilla game that General Leo has, but since Realm has the highest base magic power, that is a great ability to find on Realm. Maybe they were just thinking, oh, with the Pearl spell, he could wall change and deflect my Pearl. Let me use Pearl now and let me use Flare later. I'm not really quite sure. But
Yeah, I mean, it's slightly faster and about as strong, but
right.
It's you'd be quibbling over nothings to decide to use Pearl first, I think. Zelfer picks up his Setzer, and Jex is on the floating continent taking a fight for some reason. Maybe just forgot to put the Moogle charm back on after he removed it from Realm to put on earrings.
Well, I don't know if Jex knows that there's an offering in the Imperial Camp, so it'll be interesting to see if he takes this monster in a box here, looking for the offering.
Yeah, it seems like he's going for it. I don't believe he's been to the Imperial Camp yet, but he finds a Gigantos, which is the highest XP per level of any enemy in the game, so pretty nice to find if you're going for that sort of thing. And in open world, getting experience tends to be a bit harder unless you deliberately take fixed encounters or grind out a bit.
Yeah, we do see over on Hefe's screen, he is grinding on Magi Master. Jump, unfortunately, is not going to work very well. Magi Master has extremely high physical defense and is immune to all but one element based on the wall change. We do have Blowfish, it looks like, based on one of Locke's rages, which
That'll be good enough.
It'll do a flat 1,000 damage, which is okay. Unless he is jumping with Atma Weapon, which ignores physical defense. Maybe that's why he's getting 900 damage per jump in there.
This is doable, just not necessarily super fast. He could easily come back to it, but he doesn't have to. He has gold hairpins available, so he could have come back and just flared a lot. But he beat it, and he learned Blowfish. Zelfer going for the Doma check here, and Hefe gets himself a Tritalk Esper.
Yeah, so in Magitech Factory, the first two checks will always be either Esper or items, so not a surprise that we find the Esper here, especially with the no free progression option turned on. Jex Ferox is going to go out of his way for a rename card. We'll see if there's any memery that will happen later on the stream. Going to take this secondary save. This is a save that I usually like to take on the floating continent so that you don't have to walk all the way back through the entire puzzle again. Yeah, it's a little bit further out of the way, but if there's anything nasty at the Atma weapon spot, that's the better play here.
It's Jolly like Green 15 Ray. Seconds to save you minutes.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah, I always also go for that safety save, unless I'm very, very confident, which is usually late game play.
Zelfer already blew past whatever was at Doma. I believe that was Tunnel Armor, right? So yep. Tunnel Armor is down. And we find my favorite metal band, Rizopus and the Piranhas, over on Jexferox's screen. This is basically a bathroom break of the fight. It lasts anywhere between a certain number of seconds and a certain number of longer seconds. I think
I
it's
believe
up
it's
to a minute.
15 to 60 at this point. It was originally upwards of 90, but it got knocked down because it was literally just a bathroom break. People would leave and go to the bathroom. And Atma wanted to dial back on that a bit. Aegis shields for sale there in Albrook, it looks like. And a Chatternook in Magitech 2.
Ugh. Another fight that's an annoying time sink, switching back and forth between the lady and the demon form here. Weak to Pearl and Fire, but we have Ragnarok, so we will just crush him with that. He will counter mostly everything with Bolt Magic, so I know we have shields, some Thunder Shields, and they'll come into use here.
I think it was only Zelfer that's found those, as far as I've seen. But yeah, 1600 a swing for the Ragnarok with the occasional flare proc, as we can see here. I should make short work of it. It's not always the fastest boss, but we do have that quality of life flag that, makes it not turn into the girl so much. Or rather, makes it turn back into the demon more often. There's a weird set of programming that changes between them, and I don't know how to explain it because I forget. The point is, It's going to be the thing you can actually kill more often.
There we go. And we do get Bismarck from that Piranha's fight on Jex Ferox's screen. Has Cure 2 on it, so we've got Cure Magic in the seed. I don't know who else is going to go up to the floating continent to go get it, though. And it looks like he is going to continue on to the third part here, which will give him either a character or an Esper at the end of 2 fixed encounters and 1 boss.
Yeah, unlike Magitech 3, I find most people will go for the third part of the floating continent. It's a lot shorter, and you can run away from these fights if you want to. So, unless you run into Brianna's secret trap that she stole from me of the 1% unrunnable.
Yep.
Which I think is hilarious.
There is 99% of the fights are runnable, and 1% of the fights could be a boss. So, let's see who gets unlucky.
1% could be unrunnable, so fun times if you find the wrong percent at the wrong part.
So we did see Hefe get the Siren Esper from Magitech 2, which will be useful in the final boss on the second tier to mute the magic caster, who hilariously can only cast magic, but yet can be muted so they can't cast magic. And they did warp out of the third check, so no minecart ride for us. Meanwhile, we've got Fun Baba over on Jex Ferox's screen, and Zelfer looks like he's going to head up Katana Soul here at the Monster in a Box.
Yep, 2 simultaneous Katana Souls. I don't think... Oh, no, Zelfer does have something to confuse it. I'm not sure. Oh, Celeste has tools. That'll help. There's been an air anchor in a chest that we've seen. We've seen a noise blaster. Those are 2 of the more useful tools. All he really needs now is a drill, and Celeste is... he doesn't even need a drill. He's got Atma weapons and Ragnarok. Who cares? He's got the 2 tools that will be useful to him.
And Zelfer using the speedrun tactic of muddling Katana Soul with the noise blaster so that he uses the insta-kill ability on himself. That's always fun to see.
Yeah,
so
Hefe manages to get through without it, though.
They will both get offerings. Ifrit is the last reward from the floating continent. Magic power +1. Throw that on either Realm, who already has ridiculous magic power, or Setzer, who has Blitz. I would probably lean towards my Blitz user, because, like I said, Realm already has ridiculous magic power for Shock, although Shock will diminish in damage as the seed goes on.
Yeah, Shock very, very, very good early game. About mid-game, it starts to really tail off in usefulness. But if you get good enough magic power or the right character and earrings, it can still be, end-game viable. So, always something I'm happy to see.
Jolly Green Ray and Jex Ferox both looking like they're in Vector, one in the Magitech factory, one in the shops. We got another Ultros on screen on Zelfer's side, and Hefe is finishing up the Imperial Camp that they reset out of before because they didn't want to take the Katana Soul fight. So he'll get his Crusader Esper, I believe, at the end of this.
Yep.
Zelfer has already crushed the Ultros there, so he will get his reward of Lock, I believe, at the bottom of the Barren Falls.
Ooh, a Hoover. These things can be fairly dangerous, but they're also some of the most experiential enemies in the game. So if you can kill one, and again, they are quite dangerous, it's viable is definitely not the word I meant to use there. It's definitely useful.
We do have a
And
reset from
reset.
Jolly Green. Yeah, once you see Magi Master, you could either be like, okay, I'm doing this, or nope, not doing it. As we do see the X Zone come out, that's one way to take care of the Hoover, is to Hoover it yourself. Send it to another dimension. I think it's also susceptible to stop. I remember accidentally stopping it one time because I had a stunner on one of my characters, so that's another way to take care of Hoover. Let's see if Jex Verox is going to go through with the Magi Master fight, as Jolly Green Ray is now realizing he cannot get back into the Imperial Camp after you've already beaten it. Sorry, your offering is not going to be coming to you via that Katana Soul fight. Instead, he's going to hop into Barren Falls, which does give you a free heal right before this battle. Looks like Jax is going for the Ragnarok summon to turn him into a piece of meat. That's not going to work. But with Blitz, Pummel, with Shock, and with some of the other tools that he has at his disposal, I think he could make it through here.
The best way to take out a Hoover is to be James Dyson. I've been waiting like 30 seconds to make that terrible joke.
I'm so sorry.
No, it got better with time, like a fine wine.
No, Dysons are great. I have a Dyson. It's superb. Just gotta clean out the filters every once in a while. Mount Zozo for Hefe, as you see Ultros getting beat with a couple of sticks over on Jolly Green Ray's screen. Zelfer, is that Mount Kulse that he looks like he's going to here? I saw...
Oh, yes, he's in Mount Kulse. Hefe's in Espermount. Mount Kulse, a check that is often overlooked in the pantheon of good Sabin checks, just because it takes a little while to walk through. But if you don't get the chest, you're just, like a minute. Jack's having some trouble with this here Magi Master, but, it's generally expected to have trouble with Magi Master. He's got some elemental shields, but the game is doing that thing that it usually does of, I know you want to resurrect this person, but no, bad player. Look what you did.
We have some more vacuum jokes in the chat. Whodat saying, and like Dyson, there are no fans around. Yikes. Unfortunately, Magi Master, even if you do have a Paladin shield, on one of his turns he will cast either Mute twice, or Doom twice, or Mute and Doom, and a combination of those. And speaking of Doom, say the magic words. It's like Candyman. Doom is one of the statue bosses. He's got two different phases. The first phase here is not usually a problem. The second phase is where things become interesting. His physical evade goes through the roof, so it's much harder to hit him with a stick, and he will cast Reflect on himself, so you can't target him with magic, and he casts Force Field, which will allow him to nullify one element at a time. Jaxie does get past Magi Master, though, and will get his Esper here. Meanwhile, Hefe has Celeste at the top of Mount Zozo.
Oh! You say Celeste the same way I do, and not one of the million other ways people say Celeste.
Celes.
Celis? Celis?
It's interchangeable sometimes. Celeste and Celis.
Yeah, there's at least 6 different pronunciations I've heard on streams. And there's no pronunciation guide. Thanks, Squaresoft. Looks like Zelfer's made quick work of this here Doom. Generally the least worrying of the 3 statue bosses. Though he can prove an issue with certain setups. Jack's on to Chatternook. And Jolly Green Ray looks like he's going for the dried meat check. Yep, and Zelfer has found a gatto.
Speaking of dried meat,
Zelfer now at 6 characters, 5 espers, 1 dragon. So to get into KT, he just needs 2 more espers. To get the skip, he'd need another character, 3 espers, and a dragon. Ray at 3 characters, 4 espers, lagging behind there, but Zelfer is one of the best players in the entire Discord community, so bit to be expected. Hefe sitting at 4, 7, and 1, a little closer to Zelfer there, but still lagging on the character front. Looks like Zelfer found those a lot faster than other people. And Jax at 4, 4, and 0. So Ray and Jax kind of in the same boat. Zelfer, pretty clear lead, followed by Hefe. Actually, Hefe, if you consider characters and espers interchangeable, is doing about as well as Zelfer.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about this randomizer is since that there are only character and esper requirements, and it doesn't matter which characters or which espers you do, you can have wildly different paths to the end, and it's tough to tell sometimes who's in the lead versus who. Hefe, since he has 7 espers already, he can only do checks that he knows can be characters or ones that he could peek to see if they are characters. So sometimes overloading one helps and sometimes it doesn't, as Jax gets Siren and it looks like he is going to be dipping out of here perhaps. Yeah, he's going into his menu for the warp stones there. We did see
the blue Durgan.
We did see that Gao had control and health, so Gao will be on the bench.
Blah.
Will be on the bench for the foreseeable future.
Actually, the only heal we've seen so far has been Cure, and there are a bunch of solid spells on the books. I could make an argument for keeping Gao around.
Yeah, one person definitely has Cure too. One of the espers rather does. Fun Baba.
Well, then I missed that.
Yeah, Fun Baba over on Zelfer's screen. Jolly Green Ray is up at Mount Kulse. Jex Ferox is walking through the snowy fields at Narsh.
And Zelfer is finally at a level where the Atma weapon is doing 1700 damage. He's basically got his game sorted. He just needs to find his stuff and get to the end.
Yeah, in Worlds Collide, you tend to look for builds, right? And with an Atma weapon and an offering, that's usually an offensive build around the fight command, right? So that's definitely an endgame strategy, but Atma weapon is only effective, towards the later levels of the game, as we saw Jolly Green Ray with his 30 damage with Atma weapon early in the seed. We'll see if Jex tries to take on this dragon here. Zelfer taking down Fun Baba, and here we go.
Ray fighting a Doom, and Hefe looks like he's going for the trifecta Lone Wolf Kefka Narsh Welk check. Which open world is about the only reason I would ever do this, unless I happen to start with Terra and Mog.
Well, you could peek both Lone Wolf and Kefka Narsh, and you can sort of peek the Terra check as Shadow is in the cave.
The delightfully hidden pink ninja blending very well into the background of this blue cave.
Shadow is in the Gru hole.
Oh! I love when terms I've made up spreads.
And we have Guardian. I thought we'd seen Guardian already.
We have seen Guardian. We've seen 2 blue dragons as well. We are on random bosses today as opposed to shuffled. And it looks like Hefe is already making use of that, offering Atma combo, although obviously Edgar took some damage there because that was pretty iffy damage.
Meanwhile, Zelfer is in the Coliseum, so one of the options for the Coliseum is in case you needed any more Atma weapons, although the red cap there would definitely help with the Atma weapon.
Also more Ragnarok's beads available.
Yeah, so one of the quality of life features of this randomizer is you can now have a rewards menu where you can see betting item A grants you reward B. And in this particular seed, we have between 80 and 120 items out of the 255 in the Coliseum being showable. So might as well stop by the rewards table and see what you got. I did see a Mega Elixir there for something that wasn't that small. Or something that wasn't.
Got a Ragnarok and he's good. He's gone.
Yeah.
Jet's fighting the Stooges, one of the more annoying bosses in the game, but that's quite a roll on the fixed dice, and now it's not nearly as difficult. Hefe takes out Guardian number 2, gonna get himself a Shadow. We'll soon find out what the Red Ninja does. And Zelfer going to dash, possibly to check out Lone Wolf, or just, oh, he already activated the Lone Wolf earlier. I did not see what Lore on Shadow. But it seems like a lot of our runners are sort of skipping out on faster checks. We haven't seen, as Franklin points out in the chat there, we haven't seen anyone do Search the Skies. There's some other fairly quick things, like we haven't seen anyone do Seth Figaro Cave. Only a couple people have checked Edgar's Throne. So, interesting routing here. I have to feel like some of these people are newer, and a lot of the older people don't do open world very often, so I think they've just kind of forgotten the optimal routes, or are going, well, everyone's going to do the optimal route, so I'll go do some random stuff, which is, you know, a strategy. It's like Ray's having some trouble with his Doom, though, and that is a kill.
You hate to see it happen. You hate to see it happen. So there was a Bahamut Esper for beating the Stooges at the Tritalk spot. Didn't see if there's anything interesting on it. We didn't see if there are any interesting standard lores on Shadow. We do know that you could rage Blowfish from one of the characters. Is that Sabin at Kefka at Narsh?
It would appear to be, yes.
So yeah, all of the characters are in World of Balance Narsh, apparently.
Of course they are. And Jack's going for the standard follow-up of just, you know, go do a Marrow's check, because why not? I wasn't looking when people walked through World of Balance Narsh, so I don't know what... Oh, there's another weapon.
Yeah, it was...
We could just equip the whole party with Genji gloves and ammo weapons and be done with it.
Might as well. It was definitely not a character. It is a Magicite.
And Ray finds some Pugs. I think these are the same Pugs that he fought before. Fire 3 and another something 3. I think Bolt 3 there on the Esper Zelfer just got. Or just looked at. I didn't see
him. Oh my goodness, another Magi
Master.
It's always a good time when you fight multiple Magi Masters in one seed.
And according to something Brianna said in the chat earlier, but we're unlikely to see because no one ever does Magitech 3 generally, there's another Magi Master there. So at least 3 this seed.
Yeah, that was similar to the other open world race we did recently, where there were multiple Magi Masters available.
Yeah, Hefe has messed up his skip here, and therefore we'll have to fight basically 3 fights in a row as opposed to 0. But you know, that's the danger. People try to do it a lot, and there's only a few runners I see do it consistently. I think people just don't practice it, or only ever practice it when they're playing the game in a race. And I definitely fall into that second category.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you think you could do it if you go really fast, but you have to wait once you pass the first group of soldiers.
The timing is very important.
Yeah. That bottom soldier that's running back and forth has to go past the second or third soldier in the line from the left. You can't just do it right away. You have to wait for that back and forth soldier to start turning right and going back the other way in order to sneak past them.
Yeah, there's 2 sort of different fail states there. One is you get past it, but then you have to fight the rider. And the other one is you mess it up and you have to fight 3 fights.
Yeah. So, it's worse if you have a fight that you can't win and you have to run away, because then they'll respawn right next to you again. Tunnel armor number 2 of the seed here, Kefkat Norsh.
5,000 damage there from Locke with a swing. And Edgar coming out with 1,600 a swing on his off-ringed thing is a very dead Tunnel Armor. Tunnel Armor, one of the easiest bosses in the game under basically all circumstances, including Normalize and Distort, which tends to make easy bosses quite annoying.
Jolly Green Ray sneaking past there with 0-0 on the clock to beat those pugs. So he'll be happy to start uncursing that shield.
Sabin
Meanwhile,
has
Sabin is
throw.
throw. Yeah,
One
so
of the absolute best things in the game. I don't know that I'd put him in the party given the other options. I would just want someone that can use a Ragnarok or an ammo weapon, basically.
yeah. Throw is great because you could throw weapons for their battle power, or you could throw elemental daggers or skeins for their magic power. Sabin's magic power is not very good. However, his strength is very good, so that will definitely help with throw. And I believe Hefe only has Strago and Shadow as his other two options to put in that slot, and those characters cannot equip Atma weapons or Ragnarok, so it makes sense for Hefe's party, but maybe not for some of the other ones.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing, as I was about to say, but Franklin wrote it in chat, you can't throw Atma weapons, and that's most of their inventory at this point. Zelfer showing use of the air anchor there, the bottom left stooge, which I never remember their names properly, is ideal.
Yeah, I just identify them by the colors that they wear, and the colors that they wear also are their elemental properties. So the red one is obviously fire, weak to ice. The blue one is ice, weak to fire, and the other one is lightning, not really weak to the other two, but just don't hit it with lightning. And that's kind of how you could tell.
Ice Dragon giving Ray some trouble here, and Jax up against Tunnel Armor, which is unlikely to give anyone any trouble ever. Zelfer gets past the Stooges at Valley Garmanda's spot and gets himself an Esper.
Bahamut cast.
Coming out.
That's okay.
Seems a bit like overkill, but okay.
Yeah, Bahamut cast and Bahamut Magicite on Zelfer's screen. Jolly Green Ray does get past the Ice Dragon, which can be an extremely annoying dragon. We'll use N-Cross to freeze one of your party members, and that can only be remedied by somebody with a fire-type spell or getting hit with a fire stick. And we do see that Sabin is going to go and Jex Ferox's party here in lieu of someone better.
Zelfer making a lot of very strange decisions today, going for Phoenix Cave. One of the lowest checks in the game, especially if you go for the treasure. Like, maybe he just wants to kill a dragon, but he's already got enough dragons. He could go just to Fanatic's Tower and crank that one out real quick.
Yeah, if he's looking for a skip, which is at 7 characters, 8 Espers, and 2 dragons, you would think that you would go to a check that you could see what the reward might be beforehand, right?
Yeah, or at least a shorter check.
Right, because you can get all the way through the Phoenix Cave. You have no idea what the result is going to be at the end of it, and it could be a character, which you don't need, or an item, which you probably don't need. But at least with a check that you could peek, you know going in it's either an Esper or an item. And with no free progression on, it's likely not to be an item. So there is some pretty good treasure in here, though. We have an Aura Lance and an Ice Shield, so there's that. But these runners already have most of the gear they could ever want.
Everybody's basically set up for the end game. The only thing I don't think we've seen particularly has been like top-end body pieces. Everything else, they're good.
Yeah, red jacket is immunity to fire, which it's original equipment, so I think only the Figa Bros can wear those, right? Sabin and and Edgar. But yeah, I haven't seen great armor, but the best defense is a good offense, and we have so many offensive weapons that you should be able to out DPS everything in your way.
Pretty much, and the second best defense is just the shield slot, so they've already got most of them elemental shields, or at least force shields. There's some Genji shields kicking around, so they'll probably basically be fine. They've got Life 3, which will help deal with the issues of Tier 3. They've got Cure 2, some of them, which is really all the healing you need. couple elixirs to fill up MP occasionally, and you're good to beat the game.
Well,
Really.
there was an Osmose spell on one of these espers.
Oh yes, Osmose there, very near the start. Now that you remind me.
So Jex Ferox actually went behind where the Whelk check was to pick up the second Atma weapon of the 2 Atma weapon choices that you had at the weapon shop. So whatever item or whatever choice you don't pick at the weapon shop, once you beat Whelk, you can go behind Whelk to get that other item. And I guess Jex wanted all of the Atma weapons.
I mean, we've seen a couple people pick those up already, so there's Atma weapons aplenty. We've seen 2 Ragnarok pickups, and they were for sale somewhere, like the Atma weapon was. So basically, if you get the right characters, this seed is free.
Blinken, you missed it. Zelfer finding the gold, quote-unquote, Durgan. That looks more like a dinosaur. Hefe talking to the little girl at the bottom of World of Ruin, Mobliss, and finds out that it is the Shiva Esper as the reward here for this battle. And since he already has 8 pieces of magic, he says, nope, I'm not doing that. He's looking for one more character for that skip.
Point of interest on the dragon front, the kanji for dragon is basically ferocious dinosaur or something. No, sorry, it's the other way around. The kanji for dinosaur is fierce dragon if you break it into the 2 different symbols. So whoever did the translation just kind of messed it up.
Jolly Green Ray getting the bad news that he has to nope out of a second Magi Master unless he could take it down. Hefe seeing Terra at the bottom of the Fanatics Tower, and that is going to be his go mode once he gets to the top of the tower. Meanwhile, we do see on Zelfer's screen the Starlit Magicite, so he gets lucky there. Does get his go mode at the end of the Phoenix Cave. We'll see if he goes right into Kefka's Tower or if he decides he needs a little more shopping. Jex looks like he is at Mount Zozo. He only has 1 dragon, so I'm assuming he's going to fight another dragon here.
Always a good decision to fight a dragon if you can. But yeah, Zelfer sitting at 773, Ray at 361, Jex at 581, soon to be 2, and actually soon to be 682. So he'll be almost set to skip. And Hefe at 682, and whatever was at the bottom.
There was Dragonhorn at the top of the tower, so
oh, delicious.
That is delicious for Edgar. And there's Terra at the bottom of the tower, but unfortunately we have to wait for this long cutscene of these fanatics with the ghost here, and we'll see what the boss is. Zelfer in Albrook going to do some last minute shopping, it looks like, before trying to dive into the tower here, and we have another painting on Hefe's screen. That's number 2. We've seen a lot of repeat bosses in this particular seed.
Yeah, that can happen with the old random bosses, but aside from Magi Master, they haven't been particularly dangerous. Ray, yeah, they're saved by a conveniently placed Life 3, but I think that's going to be him dead again. Zelfer buying some Atlas Armlets, I think, there. I saw him go into a relic shop, and that was the only decent thing I saw there. Hefe sitting on that pearl, waiting for the chance to cast it.
Yep, the demon phase of Chatternook is weak to Pearl. Did he bring Gowan to the tower? Who's the one that has no fight command? Sabin. Weird. I wonder why that is. Maybe he didn't learn any magic. I guess that's what it is.
That is quite likely, given the recent pickup.
They just got him. Yep, so in Fanatics Tower, the gimmick is you could only use magic, and your fight command turns into magic. But if you don't learn any magic, then you can't cast any magic, and you're stuck with just items. I wonder if he picked up some super balls. I know we saw them laying around the seat earlier. Up in the sky is Vargas and the Ipoos. Another Final Fantasy VI rock band.
Yeah. I had something to say and I've completely forgotten it. Jolly Green Ray given our first dream. So he's going to go find some children and then beat them up. As one does.
That always seems like a great idea. Zelfer is in World of Ruin Nikea, so I don't know exactly what he's looking for, but he's scouring the land far and wide for it.
Genji gloves and dragon horns are the only things I can think that he might possibly want.
Yep, little does he know that there's one at the top of Fanatic's Tower. Jolly Green Ray finding Kefka at Narsh over in Cyan's Dream. So Cyan's Dream, the first battle here, could either reward an Esper or an item. The second one can reward any of the three choices, and the last one can either be an Esper or an item. And since he needs both Espers and characters, that's why he's popping in here.
Jex found himself a remove from searching the skies. Fire 3 on that Esper Jolly Green Ray was just looking at. And Jex looks like he's going for the Colosseum.
He really wants this Mithril Blade for whatever reason. I don't know if that was a misclick or...
Possible he saw it was turnable into something else. Yeah,
so the Colosseum reward menu will do that for you.
Terra, another character who can use a Ragnarok or an Atma weapon. So basically, you kick Sabin out of the party, and you just have 4 people swinging 2 of the best weapons in the game.
Yep. So Hefe is now in go mode with that Terra pickup. He's got 7 characters, 8 Espers, and 2 dragons, which means he can go right to the skip. Zelfer is looking around. He's spending a lot of time looking for whatever he's looking for. Meanwhile, Jolly Green Ray is doing the switch puzzle that all of the runners can probably do in their sleep now at this point. Jax is still looking through, and we do see a Genji glove, but he decided not to go for it. Interesting. Or is that a Genji helmet? I saw the word Genji and got excited.
I was not looking.
I'll have to go back in the VOD and look in just a second here.
Yeah, Zelfer's still really, really looking for stuff. Bought Mervel shoes for some reason. That's something I would never go out of my way to pick up. Looks like Jex is going to learn Bum Rush.
Yeah, Marvel shoes is good to have with an Atma weapon, but I certainly wouldn't be spending 5 minutes looking for it.
No, and I wouldn't be spending 30k on them either. I almost universally sell them when I find them. They're actually most useful on a Dragoon, just because haste makes you come down from the ceiling faster.
Yep,
but, yeah, he's really looking for something.
Yeah, and with the Bum Rush, with the Bum Rush last flag turned off, that means that you have to wait until, or rather, the Bum Rush last flag is turned on in this particular set of options. So you have to wait until you get to level 42, which is where you earn your last Blitz, and then you can come to Duncan's house here and learn Bum Rush. It takes about 45 seconds, but it's well worth it for your Blitz user. And I just looked back in the VOD, and it's definitely a Genji glove in the Coliseum. So I don't know why.
What was the cost?
But
it's Hudat's favorite snail. Go well.
I will replay it again. So when I find that out, I'll let you know.
Jefe takes down an Atma weapon. Ray looks like he's gonna one cycle this, not gonna hit the Welk in the glue hole.
Definitely don't want to do that.
And we'll see what these 2 checks reward, as these are new to everyone. Unicorn Magicite for Hefe, and Ray. Gonna take a minute to actually find out what this is. Well, at least what the second one is. Odin. So a couple Espers for people. Zelfer going for a dragon now. It seems like people are just kind of scared for some reason. I don't know why. I guess it must be the lack of body armor, because everything I could want from this seed was available quite a while ago. Ray finds Fenrir, which is wonderful. Always nice to find Fenrir. That's some calmness protection, although in this case, I mean, Life 3 was available. Fenrir is just faster. And Jexfrock going into KT at 110.10.
So for a Genji glove, it was a Kung Fu suit. So that's the default, I think, armor for, or default armor for Sabin, right? So you definitely have one. I don't know why. Maybe you don't get to see the enemy that you have to fight on the rewards menu, so that's very interesting. Jex Verox, meanwhile, into Kefka's Tower, 110.30 at the statue skip. First one in.
Zelfer renaming his characters, no Genji. Oh, so he must have just been really looking for a Genji glove.
Yeah, little did he know. You have to go to the Coliseum and
I mean, he took so much time to do that, though. That's a really weird... That's a weird thing for a very high-level runner to do. I would have expected him to check maybe 1 or 2 tabs and then go, this is going to take forever, I'm just going to KT. Yep. If not, just go to KT immediately anyway. He doesn't need Genji glove. Especially when almost all the defense anyone has is held in the other hand.
French Vanilla Guardian here, or is this... Yeah, this is French Vanilla Guardian on the left-hand side that Jex is fighting. Jolly Green Ray coming out of the cave on the Veld. Hefe is going into South Figaro cave, and looks like there's Umaro. Hefe definitely has... Yeah, he's got 7 characters and 10 espers. So
he's got all he needs.
I'm not sure why he's going into this cave unless there was a miscount somewhere. Meanwhile, on Zelfer's screen, he's going up the middle route first, and some more Vargas. More Vargas and the Apple Toilets, the Iboos. Jolly Green Ray finding out that it's Shiva down at the World of Ruin Mobilis. You could go talk to the little girl to find out what you need. He needs characters, so he's going to be noping out of this situation and trying to find one of his other characters. Strago taking a nap on Jex's screen with the Guardian.
Throwing for 40-some hundred on, I think it's just a basic shuriken, so that's amazing damage. Oh, and Grand trained into Oblivion.
Ooh, that is no bueno. So Zelfer is the first one to defeat a boss in Kefka's Tower, even though he was in there second. The validation chest is an X-Ether, which would have been great to sell, but here in Kefka's Tower, you don't need the money. And wow, it's mini Kefka before real Kefka here.
Oh, he just came downstairs for, to use the downstairs toilet.
He didn't want to go all the way to Toilet Atlas Toilet. He just wanted to just...
Oh, I mean, he was on the way. He's on the way, and you interrupted him. That's why he was so easy to beat. He just really needed to pee. He couldn't concentrate.
He did not find the Piranhas fight. He didn't have a bathroom break. Meanwhile, at the Doom Noodles fight is Atma Weapon here, and he's getting hit in the face by an Atma Weapon. How fitting. Jolly Green Ray is in Owzer's Mansion. There are 2 forced encounters in Owzer's Mansion. The first painting and then another painting later on. But you can see what the reward is before you fight the boss, at least.
Zelfer skipping out, presumably to put the same party of 4 down each lane, playing it very safe. And Jex taking a pass at a Guardian here.
Yeah, with 10 warp stones to start, you can afford to warp out of the tower and reform your party a bunch of times. Yes, it is a bit slower, but then again, the fights that you fight are going to be faster. So this is sort of a rule of what is going to be your best option. Is it going to be fighting faster and moving slower, or is it going to be not having to reform your party each time?
Yeah, it's variable too. It depends how good your party is, what level you are, if you want everyone to get extra experience from everything, whether any of your backup characters are even reasonable. But yeah, it seems like people are just playing it cautious today, so there's something going on that people aren't super keen on, and I have to imagine it's the body armor situation, which is not ideal.
Well, and there are definitely some people that have seen multiple Magi Masters in this fight, and maybe they don't want to run into another one at KT.
That's fair. It is random bosses, so any boss could be everything. It could be 4 Magi Masters up here.
Yep, and now we see Jolly Green Ray at the end of Owzer's Mansion. We see Cyan is painting a picture, so that'll be good for him as he finds Tritok, which unfortunately is only immune to fire or defense ignoring things, but Flare is a defense ignoring spell, so that'll be good for getting through this fight at least, and Cyan, it will be his 4th character, which I don't think anybody else has, but at this point, what other ability could you see that would make a difference? Because we've seen Blitz,
Not
we've
a
seen
lot
Shock,
left. We've seen
Throw,
most of the best
Jump.
ones.
Yeah. We've seen all the good ones. Even Lore is like not a high tier one, but it's one of the better ones. So I don't know what's
Runic, I think in the case of this specific seed, could be quite nice, simply because people seem to be worried about their armor, and Runic can do a lot of work for you in Final Kafka.
I think Locke is Runic,
finds Doomgaze and just manages to not be level 5, which is always good.
That's the easy part of the fight down. I think Locke has Runic, actually.
Quite a bum rush for 9,400 damages.
Yeah, that's why you wait 45 seconds for that cutscene to play, because Bum Rush is very, very good.
Yep.
Fortunately for Jolly Green Ray, Edgar is frozen, but Edgar doesn't know Flare, so that should make Tritalk pretty trivial. Doomgaze should go down in a couple of more of those Bum Rushes, and there you go. Zelfer is going to also find Doomgaze. Let's see if he's level 5. Drum roll, please, and...
No!
A quad miss. Meanwhile, Hefe dipping into the tower at 1:16:45.
So basically, 6-7 minutes between the 3 people vying for first place here.
Yep, and anything can happen. You know, these fights are difficult, and these bosses have been pretty difficult, right? Doomgaze, Guardian, those are not slouch bosses here in the tower either.
No, and there's always Final Kafka, which, given some bad RNG or poor luck, or you mess something up, can completely ruin your run for a solid 15 minutes. We have seen in the past a runner leave KT for a full, 30-35 minutes and just run around doing stuff and getting levels, whilst the other 3 runners repeatedly died to Final Kafka. And the person who entered, 30 minutes after everyone else won. Which just goes to show you how much you need to be sure you can deal with Final Kafka.
Yeah, we have seen, some pieces of Magicite that can help us out in our fight. We've seen Siren for Tier 2, we've seen Fenrir for Tier 3, but not a lot else. We do have Life 3, which will help, and we have Cure Magic somewhere. So, but again, like you said, I think the runners are a little weary about their gear, because the only thing that I've seen is Genji armor, which was one of the rewards for one of the checks we did earlier.
Horse armor somewhere, red jacket from near the start, which apparently Strago can wear, which is
interesting.
Something I was aware of. But yeah, Celeste is wearing Crystal Mail, which is, decent in terms of pure defense stats, but is basically a nothing piece of armor from the mid-end game.
So Zelfer is into the final battle at 1:18:45. So they had about 6.5 minutes in the tower prior to getting here. That's pretty good pace considering you skipped right to the statues. Hefe is finding Kefka on his way down to use Toilet Atma's lavatory, and Jolly Green Ray is heading into Narsh. I don't know if this is World of Balance or World of Ruin. Maybe he'll combine the 3-legged check like
World of Balance
earlier. Yeah, so he'll probably do the Lone Wolf into Welk, Gruhol into Kefka at Narsh, and he's going to find his characters here, because I believe there's at least 2. I don't remember what Lone Wolf's.
There's Sabin and Shadow, and I don't remember what Lone Wolf was either. Not a character.
All right, so Zelfer into the first tier of Kefka. So this tier is exclusively physical attacks, save for reverse polarity, which will change the row that your characters are in.
Locks out on the X zone there. That's not a very easy spell to hit things with, but gets that long arm dealt with. Doing 8 to 9k with these Atma weapon swings, which shows you just how ridiculous that weapon can be if you get a few levels under your belt. And Zelfer is in his low to mid 40s on basically everyone, which is a fairly high level for someone to be at who's as good as Zelford for a Kefka fight. But tier 1 goes down fast.
Yeah, meanwhile, Hefe got hit with level 5 Doom on Strago, and now he's just twiddling his thumbs waiting for the Yeety to finish this Doomgaze fight. He does take a reset out of that, decides he doesn't want to wait. Tier 2 has got 4 different targets. Tiger is your problem on the bottom there. The blue guy does physical damage. The back character does just magic attacks only. And thankfully we have Mute and or Siren, which will make that ineffective. And the middle one is susceptible to instant death, which we already saw with X-Zone. So we'll see if Zelfer's luck continues as the meme goes in the community with his X-Zone casts to see if tools will go down. I was going to say, meanwhile, Jex Ferox is at the final fight. 1:21:15. It took him slightly longer than Zelfer. It took him about almost 9 minutes to get through the tower.
Yeah, and Hefe's taking a reset there on the Guardian fight, which Jolly Green Ray is fighting a different version of.
Yeah, not fun bosses in Kefka's tower other than Vargas and, Kefka at Narsh Kefka.
Yeah.
So the Guardian here will reward Jolly Green Ray with Shadow, which he'll be happy to see that he's finally getting some characters. Tier 1 for Jex Ferox. He is going to start throwing things, which is always good.
So many shuriken. And doing 6,000 damage with a shuriken shows you the kind of levels everybody has. They've all... I mean, we obviously know Jex is at least level 42 on whoever has Blitz. I believe it's... Tresetzer? Someone. Doom! Successful on long arm there for Jex Ferox. Well, yeah, high levels across the board for our runners tonight, which is not super common. I would say, on average, if you're looking at a quite good runner, they're gonna start doing Kefka stuff around low to mid 30s, and just gain whatever extra levels they need on the rest of the way. So seeing, Zelfer, for example, level 40-something before even going into KT is fairly uncommon.
Thank you for the raid, Jones. And Jones, who is one of the other runners in this community race, has finished with a time of 1:21:39 off stream. So thanks, Jones, for the raid, and GG's on congrats on your time. That was an excellent time here. As we see 10 hits come out on Zelfer's screen, Jex Ferox heading up to tier 2. I saw Franklin pointing out in the chat about weight tricking. So one of the things that you should learn when running this game is ATB weight tricking. It basically means that you can queue up attacks the way that you want them to without needing to know what the enemy's bar sort of looks like, right? So every time you cast a spell, it does not increase the bar for which the enemies can take their turn. So a lot of good usage out of it we see here. I'm explaining it terribly. There are definitely a lot of YouTube tutorials and resources on our website, ff6wc.com, if you would like to learn more about it.
The takeaway is, if you're watching an animation, probably go into a menu. Do fewer enemy attacks.
Yep, tier 3 for Zelfer. There's 2 parts. You want to get the lady down first, who has only 9999 damage, or health rather, but absorbs all sorts of elements. So physical attacks will help, and thankfully that's all we have this seed, really. It'll be a counting game now until we can get a cast of life.
Train, not something you want to be hit with when you're doing physicals. It blinds people and mutes. Mute obviously not being as big of a deal this seed as blind is. But still not great, especially if he's having to use remedies to unblind people. Oh, he does have eye drops. Must want some access to spells there. Already into medial casts.
Yeah, maybe they want Life 3.
Life 3, entirely possible. Zelfer, I think, well, no one has Fenrir except for Ray. Ray or Hefe?
So here comes Calmness taking out No.
Ooh,
So
no.
it's
Genji grows sad.
only one calmness though, luckily, and it does take out one of our damage dealers, but somebody will be coming in off of that afterwards, and that person will probably be the mega elixir holder and or potion tosser. Um, as we see Jax taking on the second tier here, um, pulling out Airblade.
Yeah, we've seen him use that a few times. It's one of those one of the blitzes that everyone should know, but we don't particularly see pulled out very often. Basically, once you're past Fire Dance, you should know how to do it if you run into anything with multiple parts.
Yeah, sadly, I don't know Airblade.
Oh, and there's Mantra from Zelfer, another one of those situational but very useful blitzes. It heals the rest of your party for a divisor of your current health, so not great when you've only got 900 like sets are there, but otherwise pretty useful.
Well, more importantly, I think in Zelfer's case is that it does clear out some status elements from the rest of the party.
That is the other bit, yes. So probably the best other character he could have come up with as a backup. Using an elixir there on Genji to obviously get the max value out of the Atma weapon.
Ooh, this is rough.
And he is hitting at 9k, so this is doable. I haven't been counting the numbers on him, but as long as he's careful, if he can swing for 9k, he should be good. Might just have to sandbag a bit to get past this rough luck with the with the particular way that Kefka has behaved. The Fallen one, I think he was probably just hoping to damage his way past, because if you do like 30, 35k, something like that before Fallen one goes off, it doesn't go off at all.
We do see Life 2, which will be good because that'll bring our characters back to life with full health.
Yeah, that's all he needs.
Heading up to Tier 3, Hefe starting the final Kafka battle, 127.05 it was. Jolly Green Ray picking up their last two characters for Go mode.
Ooh, another train.
We'll see if they decide to take on another dragon and try and find another character to do the skip, or if they just decide to go into KT at this point. Yeah. Here comes the Mantra from Setzer, even though it's going to heal like 5.
That's 40. Not the important part. Have a thing to the face for the full damage.
Yeah, you do see the blind status, and unlike in the vanilla game, the blind status actually works in Worlds Collide. The blind status gets removed.
Waiting there for the second Beyond Chaos, and now he's just going to pull out all the stops and hopefully take Kefka out. Oh, that looks like a Cacao. That is a Cacao. Yeah. Zelfer has finished in first place on the restream with a time of 1:27.59 and then some milliseconds.
Get your GGs in the chat for Zelfer. Nicely done. Very nicely done. Especially with all of the annoyances that he had to deal with on that final Kafka battle. Good pulling out the Mantra to clear out the status elements, as Sabin does take a calmness but gets revived with life 2 or 3, and he gets a second calmness. You hate to see it happen. You protect yourself from calmness with life 3 only to get hit in the face twice by it. Sorry, Sabin. You obviously were meant to die today.
Life 3 is a defense, but it's not 100% reliable.
Jolly Green Ray is trying to find that last character, it looks like, as he's taking on Doom in the tunnel armor spot in the South Figaro Cave. Meanwhile, Hefe is up to tier number 2. And we have Jex Ferox on the final Kefka battle, but we are joined by Zelfer for an interview in the virtual booth here. GG, Zelfer.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How do you feel that seed went overall? It seemed like your routing was a bit all over the place. Are you? When's the last time you did an open world seed?
I don't remember the last time I did an open world seed, but the seed seemed to go okay.
And how did you like just laying on a bed of Atma weapons the whole
After like the third one, I was like, what kind of seed is this? I was astonished. I was tempted just to get more Atma weapons at the Coliseum just because I could, but I was like, Well, let me find maybe if I find Genji gloves, I'll just have everybody wear Atma weapons.
Yeah, I think it was the seed of an Atma tree, and it was the right season for it to bear fruit.
I guess today was just the day to reap the rewards of Atma weapons everywhere.
Yeah. It's too bad you didn't find the boss Atma weapon, because then you could hit Atma weapon with an Atma weapon in his face.
There were a couple of those too.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. You're right. That would have been absolutely perfect, but I didn't find any of them.
Yeah, so we saw you shopping around the end, and I actually stopped to write down a question of what you were looking for, but I think we got the answer to that with how you renamed your characters.
I was looking for one thing only, just
Yeah.
one thing.
The only Genji glove I think we saw was at the very top of Fnatic's tower, but how did you make the decision to just keep looking for one when you could have saved yourself some time by just going to KT?
I'm never gonna have 3 Ragnaroks and 4 Atma weapons again. I had to take the opportunity to look for a Genji glove, or 10.
I mean, that would have been the ideal, wouldn't it? Just everyone wearing 2 Atma weapons.
I was going for it. Hardcore, but not this time. I guess in another 100 seeds or so, maybe this will happen.
Meanwhile, Jex Verox does finish off with a time of 1:31:01, so GG's for Jex, finishing in second on the restream. The only Genji glove I think we saw, there was a dragon horn in the chest at the top of Fnatic's tower.
Oh, then what was the Genji glove?
The Genji glove was in the Coliseum for a Kung Fu suit.
Right.
Oh no, don't say that.
Yep, unfortunately, I know you went to the Coliseum, but you must not have had Sabin at that point with the Kung Fu suit to bet, so.
I never found Sabin. And I
You
never
didn't find Sabin either. Okay.
I didn't buy
Fair
Kung
enough.
Fu suit because I wasn't hunting that hard at the Coliseum.
Yeah. That was the only one that we did see, unfortunately. But otherwise, the relic shops were not playing nice with us this particular season.
I mean, there were Atlas armlets, there were hero rings, there were earrings. There just wasn't the best thing.
There were subpar things there, I guess. Sure.
Yeah. Just the seed didn't want to be the nicest. That's why it kept throwing Magi Masters at everyone.
Wait, did it really?
There were at least 3 Magi Masters in this seed.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
3 Magi Masters, a couple Guardians, there was Doomgate. There were a few Varguses that nobody pummeled despite having access to Blitz.
There were some tough bosses in this seed. So talk about how you felt going into the final boss at KT. You didn't have any calmness protection aside from, did you find the Esper with Life 3? I can't remember anymore. There wasn't really, there was only one decent Esper with a curing spell, a Cure 2 on it, so it must have been tough trying to gear up for that. Did you know by the time you hit tier 3 that one of your characters will probably die today?
Oh yeah, I'm just sitting there like, well, I hope only one person dies, and I hope not 2 people died. But I figured chances are it's going to be okay anyway this particular time, so I wasn't that worried. Kefka was getting stabbed one way or another.
Yeah, with enough offense in the seed, that certainly did it. And bringing in Setzer as the character to the final battle certainly helped with your use of Mantra to clear out the blind status in order for your characters to start swinging away. It did get a little dodgy there after Fallen 1. I'm guessing you tried to DPS your way just through it, and it just didn't work out so well.
Yeah, like, let me sneak in a couple hits, let's see what happens. And then, of course, Kefka countered and took out Celis, and I was like, oh, alright, we're going to take a moment just to recover and get ready again then.
Yeah, with Life 2 and Edgar swinging for like 10k, pretty much, as long as you sandbagged it, there was no way you were dying there unless you lost count of the damage.
Yeah, I think, very good.
Well, yeah, that was all the questions I really had, unless Schwantz has something else to add in. We'll get you on out of here and let Jex in.
No, yeah, Hefe just got saved by a Life 3 on Edgar there. The rest of his party was
Yeah,
was
that's rough.
taken out.
I turned my head to look at Discord, and it turned out that Hefe's having the worst time in the world.
Ooh, that Life 3 save. No, I didn't have any other questions. It was basically, yeah, what were you doing with the last 5 minutes before KT? And we obviously figured it out after that. So, any other final thoughts before we let you go?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you very much for having me. Everybody have a good one.
All right, you too. And we'll get Jex on in here. We are now joined by Jex Frost. GG's on second place there.
Yeet.
And how did you feel that seed went for you overall?
Everything went great until I ran into Doom Statue Guardian. I should have just gone with the original plan and just did full party on each of the sections, and
yeah, that's what Zelfer did. That's honestly probably what gave him the win. You're only like 3 minutes behind him, so that one. Did you wipe on it or did you just reset?
I wiped.
Yeah. That
Guardian whipped out Grand Train.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a
damage.
nasty cast.
Yeah, I'm just like, wait, what? What is he doing? Oh no, this is no good.
So, just to rub some more salt in the wound, Zelfer, by the way, Hefe has just finished, and his time is 1:36:35, so get your GGs for Hefe. Slugging it out after getting almost his entire party wiped by Tier 3, so that's perseverance there. So your time between when you entered Kafka's Tower for the first time and the boss was almost 11 minutes. It was a little bit longer than 10 minutes, whereas Zelfer's was 6.5 minutes. So that's sort of where the difference is. You guys were neck and neck throughout most of the race there.
Oh, yeah, my end game hitting go mode and just going for the extra dragon character and doing a statue skip. Yeah, I know I lost a bunch of time with that. But I didn't feel like crawling through all of KT, which I think was the smart move anyways, doing a statue skip.
Yeah, it also seemed like basically every runner wasn't super confident. Were you worried about your lack of defense? Because everyone had a million offense, but it didn't seem like there was a lot going on the defensive side there.
Defensively, I felt pretty good. I mean, like I had the pally shield, I had a red jacket.
Ah, right. You were one of the only ones that unlocked that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just slapped the pally because I found the early ribbon, so I just slapped it onto Strago and just went to town. And and my early game was doing checks that involved grind fights. So I did Serpent's Trench, and then right after Serpent's Trench, I jumped into Floating Continent, and like just those two things alone just gave me all the fights I needed to remove the curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. E.
I was just going to say, we saw you do that pretty early. We're still seeing Ray kind of do it off and on, but Hefe sold it pretty early, and I don't think Zelfer ever touched it. 15's at the top end of where I would personally go for it, but, when you can route your seed manually, and in open world, you're usually going to want to stop and get a few levels somewhere. Just if you got a ribbon, why not go for it?
Oh, there was one fight that terrified the crap out of me early on because I didn't safety save before going in. That was the first Magi Master sitting in MTech.
Is that the one where you ended on 0-0?
No. There was no fights I ended on 0-0. It was everybody in the party was dead except Strago. Yeah,
not a nice time.
Then I just like, you know what? Screw it. Dance. And he did Wump and killed him.
Yeah, Wump good. I mean, the dance was not stupendous, but there were some, with the starting dances, some solid ones. Not, no landslide, but there was Wombat and Surge and Wump and stuff.
Yeah, the starting dance was fantastic for grind fights.
Yeah.
Because Tempest, nice solid AoE. Surge, nice solid AoE. Wump for pinpoint damage, and Spectre, whatever. It's Spectre.
Spectre to occasionally be cast.
On Katana Soul only. So, yeah, we were wondering why floating continent and things like that, but now that, you had mentioned that you wanted to uncurse the shield, it made total sense, and Strago having that paladin shield on the Magi Master fight definitely helped, because the only way he was going to die is if he got Doom cast on him, right? And that thankfully didn't happen. So
Yeah, I got lucky on that, and I was trying to revive Realm in that fight and transfer the paladin shield over to her so she could just shock her way through. But I died. Well, they died.
Interestingly, I don't remember actually seeing that much shocking going on. Maybe I was just looking away when you were doing it, but you're also the only one that found Realm, I'm pretty sure.
I don't even remember where I picked her. Oh, Floating Continent.
Floating continent.
Yeah, you were obviously the only one that went there.
Yep. So it did pay off. It's just that the couple of fights you wanted to use her with, obviously she just got knocked down before you really even could. So going into the final Kefka fight, I believe you had Siren, but I don't think you found any calmness protection. So when you got up to that tier, were you just thinking, I'm just going to have a character eat a calmness, or?
Actually, I did have Life 3 active.
Okay.
Yeah, I think almost everyone had
But
Life 3.
Sabin got double.
Oh, that's right, the double tap.
He got the double, which is the danger of
really?
Life 3. So
Yeah,
sometimes you just go calmness. Oh, I see you have Life 3. Nuts to you. Calmness again.
Yeah, fortunately, Sabin was doing great damage, but he wasn't my main damage. That one went to Setzer after I gave him.
Sabin was doing
push.
like 6k with a shuriken, which
He was
is
doing
ridiculous.
6k. My final party was doing a lot of damage end of the day, but
Damage was pretty clearly not the issue with this seed for anyone.
yeah, it was defense.
Yeah. But,
Well, anyways, thanks for having me. Thanks for the restream.
Well, I have one more question for you.
Uh-oh. All right.
You found Vargas. You had Blitz. You didn't Blitz Vargas.
Yeah, I know.
Why you no Blitz Vargas? Vargas love Blitz.
Yeah, I know he likes to pummel. I mean, if I see Ghost Train and I have Blitz, I try to use. I at least try to do that. Or if I see Magi Master Mini or Behemoth, I'll try and imp them. Just some little meme stuff there.
Oh, I love imping Mini Magi Master.
I didn't even know you
Basically
could
the
do
only
that.
boss you can do it to.
No, there's 2 bosses you can imp.
Yeah. And doing it to number 124 or whatever is
124
is very amusing.
and first part Behemoth.
Yeah. And doing it to 124, especially in vanilla, is very funny because it removes all the danger of a boss that can become ridiculously dangerous for basically no reason. Well, yeah. Aside from that, GG's, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yep, GG's. Thanks for having me.
For running. Appreciate it. Meanwhile, we'll grab Hefe in here. It's been 86 years, he cries. How are you doing, Hefe?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right. How did you feel that run went for you?
There wasn't a whole lot of gear that I found. That makes life a lot harder, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there was a million weapons and stuff, but it seems like nobody found that much defensive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, staying alive is pretty good, you know. Dying is bad for your health.
I've heard that.
Alright, they're BGs.
I've immediately forgotten what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
I've done my job then.
All the memery. So yeah, so Hefe, you go ahead, Mr. Enemy. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna ask. I'm not sure I've ever seen Hefe do an open world seed on a restream. Are you familiar with them? Have you played many of them?
Not really, honestly. I mean, I know the general premise of it, and I know a basic route, but analysis paralysis becomes a big problem with me.
Yeah, I find that there's two kind of ways to approach an open world seed. One is to sit down beforehand, think about optimal routing, and then just execute that. And the other one is
I fall in the second category for sure.
a lot of people do.
It's like, well, I want to go here, but wait, there's something over here, but this might be quicker, but there might not be a character. Yeah.
Yeah, open world has some issues, but it also has some benefits. It's just to the player's taste, I guess, and we don't. We do the occasional open world, but most runners seem to prefer character gating, so we tend to stick to that. So
yeah, I mean, it's a good change of pace. I do enjoy it whenever I run it. Like I said, I do get a little confused at times just because I'm like, wait, there should be somewhere that I need to go, but I can go anywhere.
Yeah, 100%. It's honestly, you either approach it as a sandbox and get overwhelmed, or you sit down beforehand and you go, okay, well, these are the obvious choices.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So, I did notice in your final fight that your tier 3 was a little rough. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, man, I was just memeing. I had it under control. We're good.
I did not realize that you had cast Life 3 onto your last character standing, and we all did one of those sort of things, you know?
Yeah, I would not have been surprised if you died on tier 4 at that point, but you pulled it off, and, good job to you.
Well, after tier 3, I was looking at it, and I honestly didn't think I was going to get through tier 4, and all of a sudden, he died. I was like, wow, that worked out quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was expecting you to have to restart that because, most people aren't going to have decent backup characters, but, the specific way it worked out for you, so...
Well, and I was concerned with open world on if I just did a bunch of quick checks and I just ran up progression pretty quickly that I might put myself in a bad situation, so I did walk around for a little while. Almost every check I took at least a battle, and the XP was really good, so that helped pull me through a lot.
Yep, I mean, you took a fair number of battles, but I'm always of the opinion that taking at least a few is going to help most people through most seeds, so...
Well, I mean, generally speaking, it's gear or levels that pull you through, and, they generally come with each other, obviously, because, I mean, the more checks you do, the more options you have to find things, and the more levels you get, but it's usually a pretty good plan to get some levels and then get some gear, and if you don't have one, you better have the other.
Yeah, and a lot of open world tends to be, like, you're much more likely to be forced into random encounters and stuff, or fixed encounters with character gating, so with open world, it's even more important that people go, oh, the only thing I've fought is, like, 2 bosses that gave me no experience, and now I need some levels. I better just fight a thing.
I know, I'm looking at Ray here, and looks like he's struggling a little bit with the HP count.
Yeah, Ray's not been having the nicest time overall. He's had a few resets and stuff, but he's also split up his party here. I think I'm not sure on you, but the other 2 definitely just left and came back 3 times with the full party.
I definitely did. I went down the center path and I checked the 2 outsides and I was like, nope, got to regroup twice.
Yeah, and that's often the best choice when you have access to the skip. But
I mean, there is a chance that you could find like piranhas, and I had, if you got 1,500 2000 HP, you can definitely take care of some piranhas,
Ooh, Ray not having a nice time. But yeah, Piranhas is easy.
But
Basically,
you know,
just need
whenever you get Guardian and Doomgaze, that doesn't work out so well. For
those
you.
are the ones that cause people some problems.
Yep.
We saw Jex got wiped by a Guardian. He tried to do the split party thing across all 3 paths. Zelfer just immediately went 4 down every path because that's, the safe option. And everyone today was kind of playing it safe, basically.
Yeah.
It seems to be my takeaway from the restream.
Well, and with it being open world and most runners not running them regularly, it is kind of a trial and error thing. I mean, yeah, we have our little strategies, but, not running them often, it's hard to tell.
For sure. I think the only other real question I had written down for you is, I think you've probably answered it by saying you wanted more levels, but at a certain point you were ready to go to KT and you kept doing checks. Were you just trying to get more levels there, or?
I was
looking for
trying to
something?
find an 8th character. Didn't I need 8 for the skip, or did I need 7 for the skip?
You needed
skip was just 7 characters.
7, 8, 2 for the skip.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I should read flags a little better.
I always write them down, the important points for myself, because I forget that stuff all the time.
I usually do as well, but no, I was looking for an 8th character, so as soon as I found that...
Everything makes so much more sense now.
Right, so no, it was not for levels, it was for a lack of paying attention.
Okay. Yeah, it's also weird that we never ever see, well, almost never ever, people actually go into the tracking menu. I know I never personally open it, unless it's a really complicated seed or I've completely forgotten. So yeah, it's not difficult to go, oh, I've forgotten one specific number out of, 60 flags.
Right. Yeah, just mental lapse. I've, not telling everybody my business, but I have COVID right now, so my brain's not exactly functioning properly all the time.
That's not going to be great.
So,
pretty close to, you're within 8 minutes of first place there, so still not bad with the COVID brain.
Yep, I can't complain.
On a train?
Sure.
In Spain.
Only if you suplex it first.
Aw, you ruined the rhyming scheme. You ruined everything. Christmas is canceled.
Hey, mine was anyway, so welcome to the club.
Now I feel bad.
And my birthday was 3 days after Christmas, and that's whenever I was diagnosed with COVID.
You've just had
What
the
a
worst
wonderful
week in the
birthday
world.
present. Yeah, my birthday is 2 weeks before Christmas, and having, a birthday around Christmas is never any fun, because it's like, okay, we'll give you, half of your presents now and half of them later, but it's really, like, not, it doesn't add up to the one that you would get if your birthday was in June or July or whatever.
I've got the optimal birthday in the summer, and then Christmas in the Christmas time.
Yep. I mean, it doesn't bother me anymore, because I'm not a kid anymore, but when I was a kid, for sure.
Right.
The presents I get each year are pants, underwear, and socks, and I'm so happy to
get them.
Because I have never bought myself underwear or socks in my life. Nice. And I don't want to.
Underwear and socks as a kid is like the worst gift ever. As an adult, it's the best thing since sliced bread.
It saved you a chore that you didn't want to do.
Exactly. Comfy socks, the ones that, they've got the things on the bottom of them. Yeah, those socks. Anyway, Mr. Entity stole my question with...
Was it about socks?
No, it was about what were you doing after you got 7 characters and 8 espers, and it was finding an 8th character for no reason.
That is correct.
Any other thoughts on the seed before we let you get out of here?
No, I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it. It's nice to play open world every now and again. If they were every week, I wouldn't participate every week, but, that's personal choice.
That's a fairly standard response to open world, if I'm honest. We get...
honestly, as a change of pace, I did enjoy it. You know, whenever I first looked at the flags and saw open world, I wasn't honestly excited, but you know, it wasn't bad, and I did enjoy it. So, good job.
Well, I think that's all we've got for you here. So just GG's again. Good luck with the COVID, and hope your New Year's better than your Christmas was.
Most definitely. Thank y'all for the commentary. Thanks everybody for the restream, and thanks for the viewers for hanging out. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll see you next time.
Hey, Boo, go Stars.
There we go.
Nobody cares about the Bruins.
Go Banana.
Oh, wait,
good thing Jack's not here, or he would just loudly say something obnoxious about the Bruins.
Yeah, there hasn't even been hockey in the past 2 weeks. It's been all postponed, you know.
Yeah,
so
well, go Stars.
We gotta cheer about something. So anyway, thank you.
Y'all have a good one. See you later.
All right.
Okay, Ray is into his final Kafka fight, so this is the pretty good time to take care of a bit of admin. First of all, go follow Brianna. She's been restreaming and tracking this thing. Forgot to mention her at the start because that's a fairly standard thing for everyone to forget. But it's very important what she's been doing. I know from having done those jobs myself in the past and from having done those jobs without a tracker, for example. So go follow Brianna. I am Mr. Entity. You should probably go follow the Schwantz. Do that stuff and go follow our racers. They put on a good show for you tonight. Zelfer85, Jack Sprock, Jolly Green Ray, FA01. If you want to play the game, you can check out these links here in the chat in my giant wall of text. You can join the Discord. It's a very friendly place. Lots of people will help you getting started and whatever. Or you can just go to ff6wca.com and start a thing up for yourself. Speaking of the Discord and the game, we also have currently about to start a little miniature winter tournament. About 2.5 weeks. Gonna be a fairly standard bracketed tournament with a fairly standard flag set. The qualifier is going to be an async, so play it anytime you want between Wednesday, January 5th and Friday at a time I don't think was listed, but get it done in those 3 days, see if you qualify. The top 8 will be given a bracket. If we have 16 or more people, it'll be a 16-person bracket. And any extra people that don't fall into that bracket will be given, a secondary bracket. They won't be able to get, an actual winner's title, but it'll still be a fun little tournament for them too. So get in on that if you want to. There's a link there if you want to see the full rule set and sign up for it. I invite everyone with any interest to do so. The other main point of admin, I guess, that we're supposed to do these days is say, Hey, you watching this? Yeah, you. I see you. You could be doing this. You could be doing my job. Why aren't you doing my job? I could be doing less of my job. Do you want to do my job? Just go get a roll. We have a roles thing, a little channel in the Discord.
Like a buttered roll?
Yeah, or like a biscuit, or, any of that kind of stuff. Tortillas and salsa. Get a tortillas and salsa to be a restreamer, or a tracker, or a commentator. You can either sign up manually in the roles channel, or you can just ping a mod or an admin and they'll give it to you if you don't want to figure out how to do that yourself. But we're always looking for new people to help us put on these shows. And, the more people that sign up, the more people that sign up.
Yeah, I've certainly
That's
had
a standard phrase.
Yeah, I've certainly had a great time, both doing tracking and commentary for races. The shows can't happen without volunteers, so definitely be a part of it. It's a lot of fun, and you get to meet a lot of new people if you are into meeting new people nowadays. Unfortunately, Celeste is into meeting the ground. That's the second time she's gone down on Jolly Green Ray's screen here. Yeah, the winter tournament, it should be fun. I signed up for it today, so I will be in it. So there's only 7 other people that have to sign up. All right, let's do it. I know we can.
I've also signed up. There's been, a reasonable bit of interest, as gauged solely by emojis, which is the way we gauge all statistics these days, as far as I can tell.
That's right.
Well, yeah, should be a good time.
We also have a YouTube channel, FF6 Worlds Collide on YouTube, where we do basically pipe some of these races or all of the races into. For me, as somebody who was starting out, and just watching races helped me a lot in gaining game knowledge and gaining situational awareness. So watching races and coming to races is always a fun thing for me. So go on YouTube to watch previous races. It'll definitely help you out. Even if you are a seasoned veteran of the game, I find that you learn something new every single stream.
I've learned so many things so many months after. I've been playing this randomizer basically since it started, and I still learn something every 2 or 3 streams. Because there's a lot of weird stuff in Final Fantasy VI. The programming is weird. There's hidden stuff all over the place you'd never find in vanilla. There's a lot of abilities you'd never use in vanilla. There's a lot to take in, and some of it you would never possibly figure out on your own. Like the fact that beads give you 50% evade. Or more specifically, they reduce the enemy's chance to hit by 50% and then give you 20% evade.
Well, since the Nintendo Power 900 number has been disconnected, this is the best way to learn about Final Fantasy VI is to do it. So, tow missile mechanics. Yes, I did see that was the Christmas seed special that we had last week, with a lot of fun stuff that was sprinkled in here and there. Jolly Green Ray does have Fenrir. I think he was the only person that found Fenrir this seed, so going on that to combat calmness in lieu of life 3 or anything like that. That'll give you image status, which basically allows you to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge any physical attack.
Oh, I have a reference to make, but I can't do it here. So I'll just say I don't like tow missiles. I prefer the finger missiles from Super Mario RPG.
And Hoodat coming in with some gifts for some subs. Thank you, Hoodat, for giving me a sub. Appreciate that.
As usual, Hoodat, WC's sugar daddy.
Yep.
Thanks for all the sugar and all the daddy.
All right. Speaking of daddy, we are up to the last part of the Kefka boss fight here, as Calmness basically does nothing with the Fenrir cast, and we'll see if Jolly Green Ray can bring this on home after a sort of a grueling start, taking a wipe in the burning house and not saving beforehand. Had to go all the way and redo his early game again, so that was a big time loss. We'll have to ask about that during the interview process, but I think he's got this one in the bag.
Yeah, Ray had a real difficult start to this seed. Everything went wrong for him seemingly at every juncture until 30-40 minutes in. So not surprised he's as far back as he is in the rankings or the times here, but it's always good to see someone who knows basically they're in last place actually finishing at a seed, because they just should. It's good sportsmanship.
Yep. And there you see, as we were alluding to earlier, blind actually does work in this Final Fantasy, so both Edgar and Locke miss because they've got their cool shades on. I know it's very close to the sun where you guys are, but we would not like the shades on. Can you guys please go ahead and take those off, so that this way you could actually hit things. Blind doesn't do anything to jump, I believe, right? Jump always hits?
A jump cannot miss, so far as I am aware.
Alright. We do see Cure 2's coming out after the Fallen one. Oof. Quad 9s from that Havoc Wing. Going back to what we were talking about with the lack of armor before. Havoc Wing is the strongest physical attack from any enemy in the game. We do see a Flare proc with the Ragnarok. So he decided to take off the Atma weapon, probably because of the fallen one that got cast. And
here comes another train.
Yep.
With the hitting the balls with the train cinder block blues.
It's funny because I think it's supposed to be trine, right?
It is supposed to be trying, yes.
It's the same number of letters as train, so I don't understand why.
It's the translation of Final Fantasy VI is weird.
Yep.
As alluded to before with the dragon thing. But yeah, Trine is like an astronomical event where 3 different bodies of astronomical things are in a triangle.
Which is why the animation is a triangle.
Especially when you get to Grand Train and then it's all spacey as well.
Yep. So we will probably see the charge up for Goner here in just a second. Yep, so here's the charge up for Goner. Kefka won't counterattack during this phase. So now's the time to hit him where it hurts. And that's... Ooh, he still has the sunglasses on, unfortunately. He's got to get rid of those in order to deal some more damage. Goner comes out. It looks like it's a crazy, intense attack, but
it's actually not that worrying. It's
not
just
that bad.
A super, super anime thing. Like, easily the most anime thing in the entire game. Edgar swings there, really cool. Strago swings there, no counter on the first one, the second one was a miss. And another Trine tame.
Yeah, so this is the part of the fight where it gets sort of dangerous because Kefka can counter when he's underneath a certain HP threshold with Ultima, which is a spell that is very dangerous, unlike Goner. Goner is only somewhat dangerous.
Goner is one of the least dangerous things Kefka can actually do, despite the build-up. It's kind of weird. Havoc Wing is worse. Ultima's obviously worse. That other attack he does, Hyperdrive, is worse, although it can be runicked. And there's a Crick House!
Hey.
Jolly Green Ray finishes with a time of a time. 2:07:03. We'll see if we can get him in for an interview.
Nice. Very awesome. Excellent perseverance we've seen from a few runners in this stream. Hefe getting almost his entire party wiped right before the last Kefka phase, and then, as we alluded to earlier, Jolly Green Ray lost a lot of time with that early wipe in the burning house to Poltergeist. Was it Poltergeist? No.
I don't think we saw Poltergeist. I also wasn't paying attention to what you were saying because I was asking Ray if he wants to do an interview.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the complete wrong seed here.
Yeah, often if you do more than one of these in a row in a day or two, they do tend to run together. But we are now joined by Jolly Green Ray. GG's on pulling that through, seeing it out, etc.
So much, and sorry to put you through my stress, but yeah, it was a rough seed for me.
The first 30 minutes or so of that were just the game punching you right in the crotch over and over.
Yeah, that plus me running around in circles, I was just overwhelmed, too many choices, eventually I went in one direction, and I'm just happy that I was able to finish. The clown went down, so, it's another victory for us.
Yeah, it's always good to see someone who, if you were paying any attention to the Discord, you knew you were in last place there. So always very happy to see people in that situation just finish it out for sportsman-like reasons.
Yeah, of course. But no, I wasn't in the Discord during the race. I was just focused on trying to do my best. And luckily, I was able to put together enough offense, to win, to take down Kefka.
Yeah, the game kept throwing Atma weapons and Ragnaroks at people, so offense seemed like it wasn't necessarily the most difficult thing to get. How are you feeling about your equipment generally through that scene?
Well, one thing that I learned, I went to Imperial Camp and I saw Katana Soul.
Yeah.
So I thought that I'll be able to come back to Katana Soul in the future, but once I picked up the Esper there, it locked me out and I couldn't go back.
Yeah, it's like Floating Continent or the Dome of Dream. It's just there's some places you can never go back to once you finish them. So,
Yeah, exactly. So I know if I picked up that offering, I would have felt 10 times better to have an offering ammo weapon.
yeah, for sure.
But still, Ragnarok, and unfortunately, I feel like I didn't pick up Fire 3 till later in the run to have a tier 3 spell with Strago.
Yeah, I don't think we saw a lot of spells being cast this seed outside of Flare. There were a few tier 3 spells later, but I don't think anyone had anything great outside of Flare early on.
Yeah, and I think Locke with natural magic, he had Meteor. But no, like you said, early on in the sea kept on punching me with Doom, and I ran into Magi Master twice. I tried to take him on, but to no avail. But you know,
Yeah.
luckily I was able to work my way around and find checks I was able to complete.
Yeah, and good on you for doing it. I guess I think I know the answer to this, but have you really done any open world seeds before?
Not frequently. Just on the weekly community race, we did it once, and I think that was the only other time I've done it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
I definitely need to play around with different flags with open world and also YNPC remove. I know it's a popular discussion among the Discord, so I know that's going to be incorporated in future races.
yeah. Y remove does get put into a lot of stuff. I find it unlikely it will be put into like events and whatnot, aside from the draft. But it's not a particularly standard flag. Open world is likely to see a bit more experimentation with in the near future, but people. I mean, people are used to character gating, and once people do open world, if they're not used to it, they tend to fall into the camp of either, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing, or oh, I thought of this before and I worked it out. And it feels like a lot of people today fell into the camp of, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Know that
Yeah.
practice this a little bit more frequently, so hopefully next time I'll do a little better.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of decision paralysis, especially with the no free progression flag too. It sort of shrinks down the different checks that you can do, but sometimes being guided is the better way to go because you could sort of by process of elimination figure out what your next steps might be, whereas in an open world seed, it's certainly a bit more difficult. But you did end up getting some espers to help you out in the final battle for Kefka, Fenrir. I think you were the only person that got Fenrir on stream.
Yep.
And I also saw you cast Phantom as well for tier 1. Although I think you then cast Kieran right afterwards, which negated your Phantom, which feels bad, man.
Fortunate,
But
rookie mistakes.
that's okay. Listen, everybody's done that at least once. So talk about that final fight. I think went pretty well. Other than that.
Yeah, the main reason when I picked up Celeste late, I knew I had an air anchor, so I knew she could easily take out the long arm, and she could take out
Tools.
tools? Yeah, tools in the middle in phase 2. I learned mute early in the run, so I knew that in phase 2 I could take care of magic in the back. And I knew my offense was strong enough to take down Tiger fairly quickly, so he didn't hurt me too roughly. And when I took down Hit, he was able to kill Celeste, but I picked her up no problem. And I was a little bit worried during phase 3 once they started casting Train and Meteor, but luckily she didn't have a lot of HP after that. I took her down on the next hit. And Kefka had me slightly scared at times that I kept on missing so frequently. I didn't think my attacks were just going to continually miss on Kefka. But,
yeah, you got trained a million times.
Yeah. So my attacks kept missing. I was 50-50 on my attacks, and eventually enough landed that, and I got a couple of procs that I was really happy about. So I think the procs helped out a lot.
For sure.
And luckily, we took down Kefka.
Yeah, I did have one question for you from the early game. You put on an Atma weapon really close to the start. Was there a particular reason for that? Because it's not a great plan.
Be slightly more of a rookie mistake, but I just always go towards the ammo weapon just because I know it's gonna do guaranteed damage.
Yeah.
And just in case I run into it. And I thought comboing the ammo weapon with jump will give me an extra like the 1.5 damage. So I thought that would help.
Yeah, it definitely ignores defense, so there are arguments to be made for it. But yeah, not the greatest equip early on. But I don't think you had much else either way. So
Not really, because I picked up a couple of fixed dice that nobody in the entire run that I picked up could equip. So
yeah, Setzer was available somewhere, but not everybody found him. So
he was at the end of the Serpent Trench. So if you
right.
did like a play where you did the Velt and then Serpent Trench, you could have gotten him. Which there's so many checks that have fixed encounters to help you level up that Serpent Trench isn't one that you immediately think of, So it's easy to see why some people might not go there,
Consider it, because I did go to Gao's check with the dried meat.
Mm-hmm.
But for one reason or another, I just started thinking, I haven't been to enough shops. I haven't been to Albrook yet. I haven't picked up the item in Zen, So again, my mind just going in circles, overthinking, trying to do 2 checks at once. And
yeah, it's easy to, if you're not familiar with open world, it's easy to just go, oh, but I could do this, or I could do this, or I haven't done this yet. But yeah, that's understandable then. Well, yeah, unless Schwantz has some other questions for you there, I'm out.
Yeah, no, that was about it. Just the last fight with sort of the route that you took. You got the espers and the spells to help you with that. And yeah, that was pretty much it. So excellent job with the run, and thanks for being featured on stream. Without you guys, we can't make the race happen. So there's that.
Thank you, Mr. E. See everybody next time. Bye.
All right, thanks, Hefe, and we'll see you the next time. I mean, sorry, Jolly Green Ray. Hefe was the last person. My bad.
So many J's.
Yeah, a million J's. And just before we throw a raid here, I'm gonna exhort the viewers again to go follow our runners, follow the Restream team, Zelfer85, Jax, Jolly Green Ray, Hefe, Brianna, the Schwantz, and myself, doing some work for you to bring some entertainment today. Maybe go through a follow somewhere. And outside of that, aside from, again, look up in the chat, that winter tournament's going to be starting real soon if you want to get involved. Beyond that, we're just going to throw a raid to some guy who's playing Beyond Chaos, another Final Fantasy VI randomizer. Quite a good one, not open world, but something I've sunk a lot of hours into myself.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks again to Bree for both streaming and tracking and rolling the seed. And we'll hope to see you all again next Thursday, same place, same time. See you later.
Possibly on Saturday when we have unguaranteed restreams for a different sort of weekly. Although I think this weekend we're likely to have one due to the tournament. People are probably going to want to be restreamed on that. So, not a guarantee, but maybe check out this channel on Saturday. And beyond that, thanks again to all the team, and thanks to all you viewers. And we'll see you the next time, Internet.